that then we'll get back to you when you come back to UK?
Well, in terms of being particularly rude about Islam?
You are saying what you're saying now back home. Is there danger for you legally?
No, I don't believe so, no. I believe as long as I'm on foreign soil when I say it, I'm okay.
So if I write this up, you're okay? Test it out for me.
I hope. If you all testify that I was actually here in America when I said that, it would be much appreciated.
You'll say you never said it.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to know what you can do about seditious activities in your country, because here we have the Muslim Brotherhood actively working since the late 30s, and they have many umbrella groups. You know, they have all over our campuses the Muslim Student Association, they have CARE spouting off. We've heard intelligence officers being told how to deal with Islamic people by, you know, these front organizations. I mean, it's like Alice through the looking glass here. So how can you actually use sedition laws that are on the books? You know, in this country, they're not being used in England.
Well, yeah, I mean, the answer is very simple. You use the laws that are on the books. At the moment, well, when the Labour Party was in power, of course, they didn't want to because they were promoting this. But they could have done if they had so chosen. The Conservative Party, the same thing you're talking about, the Muslim Brotherhood, they actually call the Foreign Office a front for the Muslim Brotherhood now. It's quite obscene.
Yes.
But all you need is the will to do it. The actual laws are there. So if I was in power, I would say, listen, if you're, I mean, for example, they had Channel 4 ran a documentary 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Undercover Mosques. And they took, Channel 4 is a British news TV company. And they took cameras into these mosques all around the country. And they filmed these imams saying throw homosexuals off cliffs, kill all the Jews, take over the country, plant the black flag of Islam over 10 Downing Street. All of these things should have been prosecutable, but they weren't. And the most astonishing thing about this is that the only people who were charged with anything by the West Midlands Police were the Channel 4 TV producers. So if
what were they charged with?
They were charged with inciting religious hatred.
Of course.
Madam at the back.
First of all, thank you for coming here and thank you for your bravery in sticking out. Just briefly, and then I have a question. Unfortunately, things are not as rosy in this country either. We have similar immigration problems. We haven't reached the tipping point yet, but our laws were changed in the 60s to favor underrepresented groups, i.e. third world, and we basically only permitted approximately 15% of Europeans to come here. The problem that we have in our country is on the campuses now, where we have the distortion of history, where professors can't get tenure unless they give the politically correct story regarding Islam and the history of the Middle East. We have Jewish students and professors. We've spoken with some of them personally who were scared to flunk Muslims. They're charged with Islamophobia. They now have, in middle-class white suburbia, the school districts have students fully veiled, and while the professors are enraged, there's not the political will on behalf of the administration to take steps. So, unfortunately, in this audience, we're doing what we can, and I hope that we don't have the same future, which at this point, England looks like it's going to have. But on another note, if you would just like to comment briefly, it seems to me that the European Union and the European Union Court of Human Rights has really enabled the sickness that's become pervasive in Europe. If you have any comments on that.
Well, first of all, yes, you're quite right, and not only are you quite right, it's a fact. I mean, this is what they've been doing. And we have a number of particularly important points we put just onto one page. And two of those are we will immediately leave the European Court of Human Rights, and we will immediately depart the particularly undemocratic European Union.
Is there any support for leaving that? Because I understand they overrule sovereignty issues with respect, especially with terrorists, if their rights are violated.
They overrule everything. They overrule everything. We cannot even have bent bananas anymore. The European Union has decreed they must be slightly straighter. I'm not joking.
No, I know.
croissant. Is that all right? They were made to celebrate some victory over the Muslims.
That's right, they were, yes. They probably don't know that in the high class.
We've all said.